You're listening to Bears Beyond the Gate, a Bristol Bears podcast made by fans for fans. We're 3 season card holders at Ashton Gate who love the club, the game and all things Bears. In this week's pod, the first of season 5 and our 143rd in total, we take a gentle ramble through what appears to be the world's longest pre-season. Re-establish our expectations for the coming campaign now that we are back in the European top table, thanks to the sad demise of London Irish, and cast our critical, but we like to think balanced, eyes over the key issues of the day. That is, does the new home kit look like a top from a pair of M&S pyjamas? Is the away kit actually really a decent bit of cloth? And what do we think about the club's announcement of fan ambassadors at games and the launch of the new supporter advisory committee? I'm Pete and I'm joined by Miles and Lee for a cheeky beer and a bit of rugby banter. Well chaps, it is great to see you all, and thanks Lee again for providing the pod pad for getting this recording done.
You're welcome, boys. Just really quickly though, I feel that I do need to just readjust our opening gambit there.
Already?
Because you've said we're 3 season ticket holders.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this room now, we're 2 season ticket holders and a half. I don't know what you would call me anymore now. A floater.
A floater.
a pea floater. not one of the floaters that TC used to talk about. But sadly, this season, I've decided, like financially, that I'm going to step away from the season card. I'll still go to as many games as I can, but I'll be watching. I'll still be seeing all the games through my illegal TV box. Shh, everyone. But yeah, I just feel we don't want to start this new season, betraying the fans in deceiving them in any way, shape or form. So we're 2 and a bit, unfortunately.
That's very honest of you, Lee.
But why are we 2 and a bit?
Well, yeah. Well, boys, before we do get into things, and thanks for being honest, Lee, about your season card issue. The eagle-eared, if that is a phrase, amongst our listeners may have noticed that there has been a bit of a change. More than what you just said. Rather than 4 season card holders, or now 2.5 season card holders at Ashton Gate, who love the club, the game and all things Bears, we are actually down a man.
We are.
And, folks, it is true. You're going to have to hold the back page here, but TC has left the building. After 4 years of hosting, editing and producing the pod, South Bristol's answer to Ron Burgundy has decided to step away and concentrate on solo projects, namely work and family. Bears Beyond the Gate was Tony's baby, and to be fair, he's been the driving force that has taken us from starting up on the back of the Bears rebrand to where we are now. Millions of listeners, occasional appearances on TV and radio, and regular articles in the Bristol Post. You know what, boys? I mean, we did accept his resignation with heavy hearts, but we also felt that, we had to make an effort to keep the pod going. So as the famous phrase goes, the king is dead, long live the kings. Oh, and Miles, who's already royalty anyway. Isn't it? So there we are. We're our 3 musketeers.
So it goes from the secret 7, the famous 5. What do we call ourselves now?
3 musketeers, Miles.
Oh, love it.
Come on, that's obvious.
We're the 3 musketeers. We're blinking into a new dawn. We're feeling our way now, like little gambling lambs in the spring.
We are, and we should say, I mean, TC was the mainstay, and we all know that. He was the guy that kept us all basically together and in line and gave us that structure. So we do hope that our listeners this season will bear with us, because it will be a slightly more, I guess, how would you put it? More
amateur,
more amateur,
probably,
for sure.
yeah.
But certainly I think it will swing around a little bit more than it used to be. Not so much structure, but hopefully, we'll discuss our own feelings a bit more, and it'll be a bit more personal.
A bit worried about you saying it's going to be swinging around a little bit more.
Well, we're not
absolutely. I mean, we could be hosting from Lee's pad, Pete's pad, my pad, anyone's pad who will offer us any recording space. To be honest with you, we're going to be free and easy. Welcome to any discussion topic under the sun, rugby related, of course. But, I agree with you. We thought we'd give us a go. We can't just fold on season 4. We love the club. We love what TC's put in over the last 4 years, and we'll see how we go.
And hopefully he'll be proud of us.
Yeah,
carrying on.
So. Yeah, I mean,
or just switch off after 1 minute. But that's fine.
I mean, it's kind of an interest. It's kind of come full circle because, if boys, if you remember, it was 4 years ago we started in exactly the same situation we have now. World Cup, it was in Japan.
You're right.
We had a very long pre-season. The Premiership Cup games came first, and we kind of started. And I don't know about you, but I actually went back and listened to our first 2.
Did you now?
Episodes. Guess what stuck out?
What?
Miles wasn't there.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that's right. He wasn't.
You're absolutely right. The problem is, and the thing is now, I'm going to have to be forced to turn up every week because we're now down to 3, down to 2, and I've heard you two chat on a monthly basis with you, and it's carnage. So there we are. I should be turning up on a regular basis where I can, obviously.
Yeah, fair enough. As long as the Duchess isn't away on some weekend somewhere. Right. Anyway, boys, let's get on with this. Okay, we haven't. To be honest, it's been a bit of a funny start to the season. As I said earlier, it seems just like a long pre-season. We haven't really got a massive amount to talk about, but there have been some games. Just quickly to run through them. We had a pre-season quite early on in September that was against Exeter Chiefs, lost 31-36. Then there was the Baa Baas game, which had been kind of quite heavily advertised as not a season card game, but as a kind of enhanced pre-season. We lost that 26-55. Then we had our first Premiership Cup game away at Exeter. We sent down basically a child's team. They put out a first 15 pretty much. It was 0-75, so 75-0 to Exeter. Got to be said.
It was closer than what it sang though.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think. Forget about rugby. I think it was more of a safeguarding issue that whole game. So I don't think. I mean, they kind of glossed over it a little bit. Said, "Well, it's good for the lads to experience it." I was thinking, let's hope we don't experience 75-0 too often. But anyway,
we were definitely in it for the first 30 seconds though.
Yeah. And then we had a slightly more competitive home game against Ealing, but we according to our website, we were edged out 28-12 by Ealing. Not sure Ealing would.
Maybe we'll chat about that.
That's a lot of edging, boys.
I was going to say, I'm not sure Ealing would consider that sort of edging. And then finally, though, on Saturday,
yesterday,
we played the Saints. And to be fair, I would say both teams put out what might be considered to be pretty strong first teams. Give or take the internationals away and a few injuries, and therefore it was quite a competitive game. And it was quite exciting. Bears won right on the last minute. Gabriel Ibitoy scored a try to win 39-38. So that's our kind of our game. So that's 4 losses and 1 win. But Miles, what do you think about all this? The Prem Cup and the pre-season. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, we've had. So let's talk about this. We've had unexpectedly fair few signings over the summer, haven't we? The sad demise of London Irish, which we're all, I think at the time we're pretty devastated about, weren't we? We went up to see London Irish, a brilliant team, and to find we're now 10 teams of the Premiership. Mixed feelings about that, but we benefited from a couple of signings, haven't we? Van Rensburg and Josh Caulfield, am I right?
Yeah.
And they've been spread around, which I think are 2 fantastic signings. We're sure we'll come on to talk about those. Pre-season wise, I'm not going to read too much into it. There's been some what you could describe as Mickey Mouse sort of fixtures, some very young teams sent out, namely Exeter Chiefs. Questions about really what are we trying to get from this Premiership Cup. They're fielding some first team players, we're fielding some academy team players, and I'm not sure what we learnt from that. The Barbarians game you went to, Pete, didn't you? It's been a pretty good event. I mean, it was a tough one, really. I think at the last minute I decided not to go. It didn't really give me the fire in the belly to go and watch that game. I think I thought a combination of price, Thursday night game, midweek game, the team sheet from the Barbarians. I knew absolutely no one on the team sheet.
Fair, Miles. I mean, they were quite good. I mean, there was a lot of Aussies and Japanese players. Obviously, ones that aren't in the World Cup squad.
Australasians and Asians. Yeah,
I said Australians and Japanese players. That's what they were. Anyway,
I'm staying out.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I agree. The game itself looked really exciting, but I don't know what we can read too much into the score.
You wouldn't say it was a barbarian team
No,
as such, would
not
you?
particularly. And you're right. So, I got the impression that it was being sold as the South Africa game of this season. I mean, I don't know if you agree
Yeah,
with me.
you're right. Yeah,
It was
I
a
agree.
full paying event, not
Yeah.
free for season ticket holders. The crowd looked a bit disappointing,
Well,
I guess.
I mean, if you be honest, it was a pre-season game that some tickets cost 40 quid. I would say that, given it wasn't a competitive game really and quite expensive, I would say it was quite a good crowd.
Fair enough.
But it wasn't big. I'll put it that way.
Absolutely.
Compared to the crowd that as it's Saints, the other.
So you could argue in that list you've just given up, Pete, it was another sort of pre-season game where I mean, Pat had described this as the longest pre-season in quite a few seasons, hadn't he? Deliberately realised that we didn't do well over the last few seasons, pre-season. We'll get all these games in.
Yeah.
We haven't done well because we haven't played any pre-season games. So
No,
that's what we've got
quite,
to remember.
absolutely. And now we have. Some have come good, some have come badly, some have come very close. And we can talk about, I guess, the most sort of the current one is yesterday.
Yeah.
Sadly, I was stuck with two flipping kids at air hop up in North Bristol, but I did listen to it on Radio Bristol, and it sounded very close. But our attacking sounded as positive as ever, but our defence sounded pretty atrocious. I think you and
I think atrocious is a bit of a harsh word.
okay, well, all right.
I mean,
You and Tony went.
Yeah, I mean,
non-existent was the description on our WhatsApp group, wasn't it?
I think the fact
harsh?
that both teams scored nearly 40 points showed that attacking wise they were both quite equal and defensive wise they're quite equal.
Pretty equal as well.
There were a few tackles missed. We did seem to struggle a bit when they got the ball out wide, so there was a few kind of structural issues. And I think Jordan Crane did come out and say that it's on me. But like you said, it is. Does it really matter?
No,
it doesn't really.
Not particularly.
So, but it was quite an entertaining game, and I quite enjoyed watching. There were some good tries and some good plays.
So
What do you think?
it was dry yesterday, wasn't it? There was no rain excuse involved. No. Great.
What about you then, Lee?
I just think ultimately it's all about getting players on the pitch, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's getting
you're right.
getting exercise into legs, and that's what pre-season's all about. The Premiership Cup's all about that. Some teams have taken it a bit more literally than others, but I think ultimately it's about people like players getting game time and experience and moving forward to what really matters, and that's the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of observations I'll make from having been there. I mean, the Barbarians was a couple of weeks ago, so I can barely remember actually what happened. But observations from yesterday was that we did look quite sharp. I mean, we had Rich Lane back at fullback, and I think he might have been injured earlier on because Ibitoye played a couple of times at fullback, and I think he probably would admit it's not really his best position. So we looked a bit solid there, but we haven't got a lot of cover at fullback when we start thinking about it, because apparently Noah Hewitt is injured at the moment, and I don't know how long for. We had Bradbury back. We had Max Leaf in the front row. We had Harry Thacker play, and Ashley Thacker was. I mean, actually, a lot of people were looking at Thacker thinking, why is Thacker not in France at the moment? Because he had a great game, and he scored the first try for Bristol. It wasn't a rolling maul; it was actually their mistake off a restart, and he gathered it and went over. I mean, it was a good game. We made a few mistakes, but. Yeah, they tried hard. Randall was kind of played well. He was a bit rusty, maybe. And actually, when Marmion came on, I was quite impressed with Kieran Marmion, and I think that's something that's really good. You know, he's got some Irish caps, but he's never going to play for Ireland again. He's experienced. He's come from Connacht. He looks like a really quality signing.
Van Rensburg played like half a game, and he's coming back from some surgery, isn't he? From what I understand.
Yeah. So I mean, Bernard Yancey Van Rensburg, to give him his birth name.
Or Ringo, as I call him.
I mean, it was his start, and he was a little bit ring rusty at times, but the mullet was good. There's no doubt about that. And actually, I think he came off in the second half for Joe Jenkins, I think, and. Yeah, he made one made one try for Jack Bates. It was like an out the back of the hand offload. I think he looked good. I think as long as we keep him fit. So yeah, I mean, they looked a little bit. tired at times. I mean, I think the problem is they've had a long pre-season on the training pitch and in the gym.
Yeah.
But, there's nothing, as we've said this before, there's nothing that can replace kind of match time and match fitness. And, Max Lahith put in a good shift, but he did look as though he was blowing a little bit in the first half. But he's bound to, it was hard.
Of course.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think there's a bit of debate. Some people are saying it's not in the spirit of the Prem Cup to put strong teams out, but then again, this isn't a normal Prem Cup. Normally, the Prem Cup would come sort of after the beginning of the season, and then we would put people through. It gives the Prem players a rest, but this is a World Cup year. It's clear. I think it would be a dereliction of duty if the clubs didn't try and prep their first team players so they're match fit for the first game. And I mean, we've got 2 more games to come. I think it's Doncaster Knights away on Friday. And then after that, it's another home game against the mighty Cambridge. Oh. I was talking to Tony, I said, if we go to that one, we'll have to come with like little black capes and mortarboards. Something like that. To support them. And really, let's be honest, boys, it's whatever happens, whatever mistakes are made, whatever good things we have, ultimately, we're not really going to know where we are until about probably 20 minutes into that Tigers game on Friday night, and we'll just wait and see.
That's the test.
So I mean, I don't think we can say much more. It was just good to see people out. Well, mate, I mean, we did discuss before, and we're going to keep this relatively short. Not because we haven't got anything to say, but because we felt as though we need to be snappy to start with. So I've got a couple of other things we could chat about. I think another maybe thing that has happened this summer that's worth talking about is the kit. So 2 things, the kit launch and then what we think about the kit. Because last year, if you remember, they launched at the festival, didn't they, with a massive Habu,
gigantic kit below a balloon basket.
I mean, what else do you want to take this one? Can you remember what the kit launch was this season?
No, was it that underwhelming?
It was
I've forgotten how they launched it.
Well, therein lies the. To be honest, you're not necessarily the greatest sample there, boys, but that kind of shows it was actually a kind of social media thing of them all wearing jeans, wasn't it?
Oh, there you go.
And in a kind of studio, and that was it.
Okay,
really.
you know me and my social media, Pete. So that's okay.
Because they've obviously, clearly they've gone down the kind of fashion vibe.
Well, let's discuss what we think about it.
Lee, you go first.
Because I was severely underwhelmed with the home shirt. I'll be honest. Yeah. To me, it's I know I'm at an age now where I have to squint at the screen anyway, but I was like, what are all those little flecks? And then when I zoomed in, I thought, oh yeah, okay, massively underwhelmed with the home shirt. I didn't think it was very Bears-like at all. I mean, I do like the colour blue, the actual blue that they've got on the shirt, but not for me.
It does look a bit, as we've said in the intro, is a bit pyjama-y.
Yes.
And I fear for our front row a little bit when they're packing down against a really gnarly Premiership team, and they've got to wear this kind of these little bears on, like a sort of
jelly babies.
Yeah. So but maybe not. Maybe that's part of the thing. It's just sort of psychologically going to undermine the opposition, who are going to think,
full sense of security.
Like softy sort of.
Yeah, and, I agree. So you two are a bit negative about it, and we're a trio now. So let's just think. I'm going to be even more negative about it because you know me. I'm a bit harsh sometimes about some things Bristol Bears, but I hate to say it looks atrocious.
That's the second time you've used the word.
Sorry,
atrocious.
okay. Well, I'll find something else to say.
Right in a column.
You're right. So you're right. It looks like a sort of like Sleepy Jelly Babies top. And my point was, they launched it on social media, but could they have launched it on bedtime hour at CBBS? It's got that sort of look about it. It's not really, and I saw people walking down Ashton Gate yesterday to the game, and I cannot see anyone wearing that new top. So is that not an immediate reaction to how good the kit is? And my thought is,
generally,
I mean that's it.
Yeah.
Actually, I was a bit regretful last season I didn't buy the kit. I actually loved it, but I think I was just too tight to buy it. And now thinking, there's people walking down in that, and I actually really loved it. But this kit, not going with it, the home kit, not going near it with my credit card by a mile. It's just, I don't know.
All right, well, I think we've got the message.
If you got the message.
Yeah. What did you think, Pete?
I kind of agree. I think it was a bit meh. I agree with Miles. It was a bit underwhelming. I've been quite interested to have seen when they presented it to the squad, what the feeling in the room would have been, because I'm not sure it would have been universally accepted, even if your sponsors are there. But I was going to say, but on the other hand, the away kit is something else we could talk about. But before we do, what did you want to say about?
I was just going to say, because obviously, who are making these kits now?
O'Neill's.
The Irish.
See, now therein is my problem, because being a City fan as well. I mean, there's been a load of issues with the O'Neill's kit with City, and Bristol City fans are up in arms with a lot of the robbing it almost. I don't know if it's meant to look like we're two para brigade or whatever. I don't know, but there's a lot of issues. O'Neill's for me are just not good enough, not up to the standard that we need. And at first value, I will say, talking about the away shirt, I did like it at first look, but as it's gone over the last week or so, I've looked at it and I just thought, I'm not too sure about the away shirt either.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things on that. Is that my initial thought, I didn't like it, and then I thought, well, and also I thought the bear isn't like the Bristol bear.
No.
I know it's the Bear Pit bear, the Ursa, and I know people say, well, that's kind of the link to Bristol, and it's like, I know, but they've already created a Bristol bear.
Yeah.
And actually, do you know what it looks like? It looks a bit more like our bear from Bears Beyond the Gate, to be fair.
Right.
Yeah.
But having said that, I then saw some people wearing it, and actually, I got to say, I actually quite like it now,
Right, yeah.
and I kind of like it more, almost that it's just quite a nice, fashionable kind of sports shirt that has a little bit of a Bristol kind of link to it, beyond it just being the rugby. So,
and to be fair, I've not seen it live, so
No.
that is a big difference.
Yeah.
You can
But
see
however,
it.
I agree, and sorry to interrupt, but you've seen some of the training tops that the Bears are wearing this year, haven't you? And there is some mean-looking bear, isn't there, on a T-shirt that apparently the players are wearing, and a few fans have already come to social media.
Where is it?
yeah.
And can you imagine putting that bear on a rugby shirt? That would be snapped up in a jiffy. And yeah, you're right. I think I made a slightly harsh comment on social media, which is rare for me. The fact it was it a meerkat or was it a bear? And was it really, it was justifying a bear that, am I right, is no longer there anymore? Overlooking
Yeah, it was in the Bear
potentially,
Pit. Oh,
you know, the biggest sort of drug crackdown in Bristol. And where's the link to Bristol Bears? However, I went to the shop to collect my plastic season ticket card. We were talking about the season ticket card the other day, and I thought, it looks really nice. I wouldn't buy Lee because he spilled beer over it. However, it looked really good. The away shirt.
I get where they're trying to go with it. I get the link. I get, that's all good. That's all good. But surely, like Miles has said, we're going to battle. You don't want to go into battle with a meerkat, teddy bear or a meerkat. You know what I mean? Come on.
I like that.
Let's go into battle with a bear that actually looks like. You look at that shirt and you go, God, these guys are right up for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point, well made. I mean, clearly what they're going down the route of, it's not just about going to battle anymore. It's about flogging. It's the fashion thing. The fact that they launched it with them all wearing jeans and stuff like that.
The best way to do that is toss off O'Neill's.
Yeah. So,
opinion.
Anyway, I mean, it is what it is. As to coin a phrase, there's nothing we can do about it. I think that
you buy it or you don't. Fair
doesn't
enough.
sound like we might invest. I may invest in the away shirt, but we'll see how we go.
I'm going to wait for the European shirt.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. No, I think. I mean, the fact
see
we're back
where
in
we are.
the Champions Cup now. Maybe they've had a little rethink, and I think we'll wait and see, and then let's wait for the European before we give our overall kind of summary.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, mate. Well, that's boys. That's kit done. There was kind of one more thing really I wanted to talk about. Say it has been not a lot going on, but it was fan engagement, and I think it's fair to say that over the 4 years we very much set our stall out as being four blokes that were talking about rugby and talking about the issues around rugby specifically at Bristol Bears as if we were in the pub, unfettered, giving our own opinions, maybe understanding that some people may not agree with us, never kind of professing to be like absolute noises.
Know anything about rugby?
Well, no, we know a bit, but I don't think put yourself. Well, you might not, Miles, but I don't think we should put ourselves down too much.
You don't know what's forwards and what's backs, does he?
Yeah, I mean the old afoot at Loosehead Gate is still rankles, doesn't it? But the point I think is that it doesn't really matter whether we always set our stall out as like we say what we see.
Right.
I mean, we have every right to say what we see because we go to the games and we like it.
And also, we might just say here right now, right? Because let's start as we mean to go on. I'm not interested in agreeing with people. Yeah. I don't care if people disagree with my thoughts because that's the whole point in the process.
Yeah, you're right.
But generally, sometimes we come into my little pad here, and we're all like, Miles is in one place, you're in one place. We're like, figuratively speaking, we're all over the shop, but then we sit together, we all collect our thoughts, and then I think we give a balanced view. Yeah. So if sometimes it does look like, me personally, I'm being overcritical, or Miles, that's just our own opinions. But at the end of the day, it's our own opinions, and that's what counts.
And I think that the reason I kind of raised that was because, some of the things we have said over the years is we felt that sometimes the kind of fan experience or the fan engagement has been a little bit lacking, potentially since COVID. We understand post-COVID there's issues, but I think we felt last season that there were a few things that we won't go over again, but let's just not mention a firework unspectacular, that we just felt that there was a little bit of taken for granted.
You're right.
So,
I agree.
We probably went on about that quite a lot. We weren't the only people that felt as though, and just little things like at the ground, just not seem to be able to cope with things like crowds and lots of people and people on Friday nights all constantly getting into the wrong seats because they're kind of fell with hand. So where was the help for that? Where was the guidance? The simple thing like, this is number 1 to 25, that sort of stuff. Simple stuff. Anyway, lo and behold, we saw some announcements kind of pre-season and now about, first off, they're kind of advertising for kind of voluntary fan ambassadors, a bit like in the London Olympics, when they had all those kind of greeters. People, obviously it's not paid, but, people to be at the bigger games, I guess, to help people point them. And then last week they announced this, the establishment of a supporters advisory committee and asking for people to volunteer, but to actually do it seriously, to put forward a 300-word, I think it's a 300-word summary or a 2.5-minute video, to nominate yourself or nominate someone else to be on this kind of occasional committee. It sounds a little bit like being kind of school governor, but I don't know what you think. I mean, I felt as though that's kind of quite a lot of progress. And
absolutely.
I think you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me personally, it's creating a link between the fans and the club, and in my opinion, that's always going to be good, isn't it? Yeah. And I think like we've a lot of these areas that we've discussed in last season's pod are because we didn't have that link between club and the fans. So I just think if the club are opening up areas of discussion and things like this, engagement, then it can only be good for everyone involved.
No, I think, and the only question that remains is which one of you two are going to put yourselves forward?
Two?
Obviously Miles.
All three.
All three?
Well, you know me.
Should we put ourselves forward as a collective?
Absolutely.
We can go in.
Then we can share the meeting.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried if we put ourselves through as a 2-minute video that none of us will get selected.
Well, they're not. Hopefully, they're not going to select it on good looks. Or not good looks, as the case may be. But I think we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And,
I agree. I'm hoping some. Hopefully not some of the ridiculous selection process, but actually they take a fair and a broad range of fans who've got varied opinions. Because you're right. Some people who moan a lot, some people who just don't say a lot, but they all need to come together. The club have grown fantastically over the last since we've had season tickets, but they've done things wrong, haven't they? Certain events, Pyrogate, and you're now thinking perhaps they've listened, perhaps they want fan engagement in all aspects of the club, and hopefully If they get this little committee, they will listen to them, engage with them, and move forward and make the club a lot better. And down Ashton Gate, we've criticised it a lot, haven't we? There's a lot that is done really well. There's a lot that's done terribly over the years. And let's hope they listen to this group of fans and improve things.
Lee, what are you going to say?
I guess it depends on what they want. Because if they want, you can stick a load of yes men on. We know loads of supporters who, massive Bear supporters, but fanatical, but they only want to see one rose-tinted view of Bristol Bears. We collectively, and including Tony in this, we've never been that type of group. Like, we've always been quite balanced, but if things have needed to be said, the club hasn't done things right, then we've pulled them up on it. So if they want a balanced view, then I feel, probably we might be seen as being a bit too opinionated or a bit too harsh. But for me personally, if you want someone who's balanced, then, there we go. I think that depends on what they want.
Well, I think, time will tell. This is one of those ones we always say,
absolutely.
let's wait and see. Let's wait and see how it pans out.
Let's see how if this new group set up a sort of like fan engagement Twitter group separately and independently of the club, we'll see. But
I think we'll see. And I mean, you like to think maybe that when the thing group's set up, that perhaps the discussion points are made public as well, so other fans can kind of see what is discussed.
And I think coming into that, we have always questioned, haven't we, the link between what Bristol Bears provide us for fan engagement and what Ashton Gate Club provide, and something has gone wrong, hasn't it, between the two?
Yeah.
And ultimately, we are Bristol Bears fans, and we immediately criticise Bristol Bears, and we don't know, do we?
It could be Ashton
whether
Gate.
it's Ashton Gate Incorporated or Limited in this country. Have provided this service that has gone completely wrong. So it'd be interesting that if that changes for the better.
Speaking of Ashton Gate, boys, did you see Take That?
What
next
I
June?
won't be
I
No,
would not be
I won't.
going to take that next June on your bike.
Do you know?
When news come down, I'll go to that.
Interesting factoid. I
Go on
knew
then.
this because it only ever happens when the year that I was 50, which I won't say it was. It's only when you're 50 that you start noticing in the press other people.
What, old bands like to take that?
Other celebrities that it says, oh, so and so's had their 50th birthday. I was quite surprised about other people that.
Gary Barlow.
Gary Barlow's one of them. Gary Barlow's my school year, because you find out all about this stuff during your 50th year. You'll find this out, boys, when the time comes.
When the time comes.
And I'll tell
Long
you
time,
what,
miles, isn't it?
Yeah,
two
so,
things.
mate.
Gary Barlow was my school year.
Okay.
Do you know who else? I'll tell you one other person that really surprised
It
me.
better be famous. Go on then. Who?
Rob Baxter.
Really?
I kid you not. You look up Rob Baxter.
He's 50.
His birthday is 1970, either second half of 70 or first half of 71.
Blimey. Well,
And I-
you're looking good then, mate.
I'll tell you what, there's two things I thought. A, I'm looking good. B, what have I done with my life?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But he spent all his life in Devon, hasn't he?
That's true.
How can he look that old?
Do you know who the other one is?
Go on.
And this is a bit more
Someone else who's got...
other rugby related,
Yeah.
but probably does just about look better than me.
Wait. I feel we should know this.
Is it?
It's rugby related, not player. I'll give you
not
a
ref.
kind of punditry world.
Delalio.
No, he's younger than me.
Is he?
I'll tell you, Craig Doyle.
Blimey.
He was also, it's his 50th year and my
Really?
50th year.
Blimey.
But
I think he must use a lot of hair dye.
Yeah.
Because he looks quite young,
mate,
doesn't he?
boys. And he wears white trainers as well.
Oh,
Craig
You
Doyle.
stay true to
Craig
yourself.
Doyle. You mean
No,
that
I
crowd with
might
Austin Healy next, weren't you?
Talking about ages, and I might have mentioned this before, but you know who the current England manager is?
Yeah,
Richie
yeah.
Hill, World Cup winner. And I have mentioned this before, that I went to school with him. He was 2 years below me at school. They cut to him on the Japan game, and he looked about 70. I couldn't believe it. And I said to my missus, I said, that bloke was 2 years below me. And for once, she suddenly thought, oh, actually, not that bad then.
But to be fair, Richard Hill did look 70 when he was like in
Yeah,
2003
absolutely.
World Cup.
It's true, actually. He was one of those kids, when you're at school, it's always the kid. that just looked older. Well, let's not go into why they looked older, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, boys, I think we've had enough. I think we're going off.
TC would never let us talk like that.
No, it's not. And he wouldn't let us go off this tangent. And we said we were going to try and keep it to a reasonable amount of time. And I think that the time is with us. We're thinking that we're not going to do one next Sunday because there's not a lot else to say. So we're going to do one in 2 weeks' time. And we may well we will have a couple more Prem games to talk about. But fundamentally, we're going to be talking about the Tigers game.
When are we getting the beat machine in?
Oh, we'll do all that another time.
Yeah.
Do all that another time. But Lee, before we finish, I know you wanted to finish off on something, didn't you?
Yeah, it's well, everyone knows I'm not serious for very often
anything.
For anything in this world. I just wanted to say it was a massive shout out to a really good mate of mine, Sir Andrew of Cleves, whose boy Arthur is struggling at the moment with leukemia in hospital, and there's been they've had a massive journey as a family. And I just wanted to say that, we're all looking out for Arthur, and we're all, kind of behind him, and, just wanted to give all our love to the whole family, Hetty as well. And, we're thinking of you guys, and, we move forward into the season.
So I think on that note, folks, I think we should finish it there. We managed to get through our first one, boys. I've got to go home now and listen to it. Just check the WhatsApp group. If I say we're not going to publish it, it went wrong.
But we'll be back on Tuesday.
Well done. It's great to get back. And the rest of you, enjoy the week. And come on, Bears.
Stay safe.